Well, the next step I'd like to take on finishing this 11-passenger Yellowstone Park coach is putting the trim that's going to cover up all of these screws. There's one that goes down the bottom, and there's one that comes down right through the middle and covers both lines of screws. Now you would think maybe that these should be bent, but actually they weren't. They were sawn out. They only need to be about 1/4 of an inch thick so that they come flush with this step on this front curved frame. So this top trim is going to be about 7/8 of an inch wide, 1/4 inch thick, and this bottom one will be about 1 1/8 by 1/4. Now I've made some forms that are going to fit the inside curves of both of these. This is going to be the bottom edge of the curve, and then I have a form here that I have made to follow this curve on the lower one. And the reason I've made these patterns is these edges here are 45. The top edge and the bottom edge are square. So I have some poplar boards sawn out. This is 13/16 by about 4. And I have two here that are closer to 1 inch, maybe 15/16. And I've made these 5 inches wide. So this that is 13/16, I'm going to find my middle. And I'm actually going to run this through the bandsaw and resaw this in half. That'll give me about roughly 3/8 of an inch, and then I can plane it down to the 1/4. I'll have a little more room to play with on these that are thicker, so I can resaw these to 1/2 inch. That'll allow me a lot of room to come down to that 1/4 inch. So this is my form for the front and the inside curve of that lower trim. So I want that to be 1 1/8 inches. So it's going to set about like so. Double check my measurement, 1 1/8 inches. So that'll actually be the trim itself. So I need it to set within those parameters. About there. Now this is the top trim, and I want this to be 7/8. So that trim is going to be about this thick. And this is just a rough gauge. This is the curve that I'm actually concerned about. So I need it to fit within these parameters. Now I didn't know if this would both fit on one board or not. It looks like it might. So for the top trim, this is what I had actually made for this trim, but if I can fit them both in here, that just saves me some lumber. I'm going to fasten my patterns down to this 1/4 inch plywood, kind of hold them in place, and I'm going to screw these to my pattern, and I want them a little bit proud Then I can run my router and take this to a 45 corner on the inside. When that is routed, then I go ahead and cut it down to the width that I need. This screw head was sticking up just a fuzz, and that's what I caught on. I might lower that out and just run a cleanup pass. There we go. So for my patterns, I have a rough idea of the angle where that joint needs to be. When I get to fitting it, it'll actually fine tune that where it needs to be a little closer. But that's about where my patterns were. So I want to be 7/8 on this one. I want to be 1 1/8 on this one. Need to cut those out. And I'm going to fine tune that just a little bit. Yeah, I like that a little better. Now for the bottom one, looks like I need to finish my bevel there, don't I? And you need to back angle this just a bit. Yeah, I like the looks of that a little better. I'm overhanging a bit here, but that's because I have to bevel this back side off to match this angle. I think that's going to work. This bottom joint here, the grain is going this way. I'm just going to make a joint about like so that my bottom can come in and fit that. my top trim, I think I can be pretty much straight across. If I do it right on that screw head there, I can put a nail here and a nail here. I might cut it right there. Well, I drew pencil marks where my screws are at, so when I get this glued in place, I'll know where not to nail. I should be able to nail in between each of these marks, but that's what all these marks are for. So I'm going to see if I can get this glued in place. So this back curve for the trim gets the same style, but it is a different shape. So I made patterns to match this. This will be my bottom one, and then I have one here that will give me the shape of my top trim. So the procedure will be similar as I did on the front, just a little bit different shape is all. And again, I think I can fit these both on one piece. That does save materials. So this back one is a little more difficult to clamp. When I put this side panel on, I didn't have the back panel on, and I could clamp to that frame. Well, the back panel is kind of in the way now. With the seat on, I can't come in on top. So I'm just going to have to tack it as I go. When I get down here, I've got a little bit of a lip here that I might be able to clamp this bottom, but it's going to have to be pretty much just my tacks that's going to hold it in place. Come down just past this screw here, I think. Yep, right in here. I marked out where all my screws are, so I hopefully don't hit those with my nailer. Was a little concerned about bringing this up tight. This nail didn't set real positively, so I put another brad there, and that seemed to hold it up nice and tight against the body panel. I've got a pretty small little nail set. I'm going to see if I can bring this little pin nail in. That helps. This one could go just a touch too. Yeah. So this top trim is going to be about the same. Remember, I put that backing plate in there, so these little finish nails will have something to hold on to. So I can reach this one with my 12-inch clamp. Make sure that sets up nice and tight against my body panel. So the front curve doesn't come in to where it actually starts to go straight. If I put a straight edge up against the bottom, you can see it's got another 3/4 of an inch or so drop before it goes straight. So I took this piece and actually put that 3/4 inch drop into it to match that. So this is going to be the shape of the bottom curve coming into the straight part of the body. And I also made a pattern for that rear curve. You can see it continues to drop even a little more drastically than the front. When I put the front up against the rear, you can see it has quite a little bit more drop. So I had to make two patterns. And I think I'm going to put that joint somewhere underneath this middle seat. So from here to my front joint, I need 38 to 40 inches in there somewhere. And to my back, I need maybe 32. That'll give me some room to trim. So maybe 38 and 32 with a joint right here. So I'm going to do my front trim on that lower section first. And I want my trim to be that 1 1/8 inches. So this will be the top. We should set right about in there. I'll cut that out. This side will get beveled, and then I can trim this off at my 1.125". I've got my curve matched. I'm a little deep here, so I can put a screw down in this corner, stay off of my trim. And it should be just a little long here where I can put a screw right in the end and be able to trim that off. So it'll take a little bit of playing. They need to match these angles. I'm just going to run a parallel stick and work this in piece by piece. This I can do with that coarse disc sander. I'll actually finish blending that. This will get me pretty close to start with. I think I can live with that. This will get beveled off flat, which will match up the bottom. I'm really close on the front. I can tune that in with my coarse disc. And that's going to put me about underneath this middle seat. And then I'll fill in the back piece. I've got my screws marked out so I don't hit them with my nailer. I'm feeling my bottom edge to make sure we're in line with my frame. Might double pin this tip here. We're not quite so cross-grained as we are on this piece here. Yeah, and I'll just flush this bottom off with the bottom of my frame. So now this top trim between the front and back should be just a straight shot because it's just going to follow this straight frame. So as I fit this top piece in and I butt it up against the joints on both ends, I have just a little bit of spring which will put tension on those joints, which is just really nice to have. So I think that's going to fit there. I'll get my joints lined up, get this glued and pinned into place. Well, that's a lot of tedious work just to cover up a bunch of screw heads, isn't it? But it gives it a really nice finish. This is what I was talking about that kind of looks like a banana. Some of you had mentioned how much it looks like a ship. But I got just a little bit of fine tuning, and I think we're going to have it. Have to do the other side as well. Hope you enjoyed. Appreciate you coming along. Thanks for watching.